Say something for the podcast. Tell the people what you feel. Fuck the podcast. Fuck people.
What's going on, everybody? Damn it, I did it again. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's good. I was listening to a few of my podcasts and I don't know, the audio is kind of shitty, I think. So I think I really need to sit down and play with the settings and the EQ settings. So I'm going to do that after this one. I'm going to record it and then I'll try and make it more delicious. Buzzsprout, they have like a mixing thing that, you know, when you do, you can do Buzzsprout for free, but when you do when you start paying it, you get the, you know, part of it is like a master mix, kind of whatever. It's supposed to make it, you know, the audio better. And I guess it does a little bit, but I still need to do something, so. But I'm kind of at a bit of a crossroads. Oh, if you like anything you hear, please send me an email, theobjectivejerk@gmail.com, or find me on all the stupid ass fucking social medias that's out there. The Objective Jerk. I just repeated the same thing. The Objective Jerk or Objective Jerk. Anyway, I think I'm fucking done. I'm done with the United States and I'm done with politics. It's just fucking, I can't handle anymore. I really can't. There was I saw on Twitter or something, so this woman at her father's, I didn't read all the details, I'm not gonna, but she was at her father's funeral and she goes on to say that, you know, her father was a racist, Trump-loving, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I mean, if he was for real an asshole that fucking, you know, N-word this, N-word that, blah, 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 you know, okay, whatever. But still, I don't know, not something you do at a funeral. But just because he likes Trump, he's a racist dickhead, and you're glad that he's dead or whatever. It's like, the generation, America is it's going to shit. It really is. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's just, and you know, I never worried about politics and it seemed to work itself out. Maybe this will be the same thing, but it's just, I can't deal with it anymore, man. It's just, people vote for the dumbest fucking things. And I'm sure probably some of you listening to this are a fucking moron. But thanks for listening. However, so with that in mind, I'm just like, I'm changing, I'm unfollowing and changing everything on my fucking Twitter. And I am kind of trying to figure out what to talk about on this podcast. Now, it kind of was, you know, I mean, I've been doing what I wanted, but like I said, I'm kind of sick of politics and you know, things of that nature. I'm really trying to avoid it. And I don't know. I feel like I do better when I tell stories. But then I'm also trying to like rush it. Like I said, I've been listening to my episodes and it just feels like I'm really trying to get through the story or get through what I'm saying because I don't want to go over my time. So I have like, you know, a designated set time of like 25 minutes. And that's when I have my outro music playing to let me know. But I don't know. I think that's kind of not not working. So, like on this episode right here, I muted the music so that I'm just gonna talk until I talk, or talk until I'm done. And when I feel like I've said what I've said and everything's good, then I'll, edit it and figure it out later, I guess. Um, I like to talk about history, but I'm not a historian. My memory is like garbage. So, I mean, I don't know. It's okay, but I can tell you. Well, no. See, I can't even do that really. Basically, I'm good historian with like World War II kind of shit. So, and I'm not gonna do a podcast about World War II, change up everything and do all that stuff because there's people that I know there's already history type podcasts, and I'm sure there's one that does World War II, and they'll do it way better than me, and are much more knowledgeable than I. But I don't know. So then the other thing is like, just me living here in the Philippines and kind of talking about that, which I do. I do talk about, but I don't go out a whole lot, so that doesn't help too much. I do talk about when I do, but I go to the gym and I come back home. And then I will either do a podcast and spend the day like promoting it and doing all the shit, putting it on YouTube and all the crap that goes with that. Or I'll just try and find something to get done, or I'll just fucking be lazy and watch something, or I don't know. Or play my drums maybe. Usually when I play my drums I fucking sweat like crazy. So save that for later, closer to the evening for like a second workout. Because I cannot play the drums without smashing them. I just can't. Like I'll try and start playing lightly, but I can't do it lightly. I don't know. Not in my DNA. So anyway, with that said, I thought I would just share a story that's it's an entertaining story. Story of a crackhead kicking in the front door of my house and running in and trying to cause havoc. I guess. I don't know. So that's what I'm gonna talk about. That's my story. And it's probably gonna go over a lot of time, but whatever. Okay, so this story. Now I remember it vividly, so I know what I saw and heard, and then I have a little bit of information from other people that were there that saw other parts of it. So I'll try and paint this picture as best I can. I'm gonna try not to rush through it, but this particular story takes place around either somewhere like around 83, 84, 85. 1983, 84, 85. Pretty sure it's one of those 3 years, which would have made me 5, 6, or 7. Thinking like 84, 85. Because my younger cousin, who was born in 80, was he born in 80? No, he was born in 81. 81 and 82. So yeah, it was probably 84, 85. Anyway, I am a 6-year-old-ish living in the state of Utah. I was living in the city of Midvale. And my mother and stepfather had Went up northwest to Washington State to visit my grandparents. So they spent like a weekend, and then plus, time to travel back and forth. And so it was my sister and I and my stepbrother. My stepbrother was like, I don't know, 6 years older than me at least. I'm not sure exactly. My sister is 4 years older than I am. And he was older than her by, I want to say, at least 2 years, maybe more. I don't know. I haven't seen him or anything in years, so it's, it wasn't too much longer after this that my mom and stepdad got divorced. But anyway, so my aunt was babysitting us, so she was staying at the house, babysitting us, watching us. And her son, which is my cousin, was there as well. So it was my aunt, my stepbrother, my sister, me, and my younger cousin, all staying at our house while my parents were away. In the backyard was a friend of the family named Big Mike, because he was pretty tall, big guy. I don't think he was like big, like linebacker big, but he was tall. I mean, he was big to me. I was little, so. And my stepdad, just for clarification, my stepdad was like a biker guy, so all of his friends were bikers. They all had Harleys and did the biker thing. I mean, it wasn't like Sons of Anarchy or anything like that, but it was they did have like a brotherhood, and they were always there and got to know him. Anyway, so Big Mike, who was a mechanic. No, he was not a mechanic. I don't know what he was doing back there. I mean, if you have a motorcycle, you're a mechanic, especially if you have a Harley, because you're always working on that fucking thing. But I guess a little bit. But he was an artist, though. I know he was a tattoo artist, and so he painted some stuff on some bikes. So I don't know what he was doing, but he was in the backyard. He was working on something motorcycle related, I'm sure. That I don't know. Anyway, so my stepbrother and his at least one friend, I don't know if he went with other friends, I think he went with a few. They went down to a gorge, not a gorge, well, like a water reservoir that was like down the street and then down the hill into this big open area. I think it was like a water reservoir. And so he went down there to go fishing. So that's basically the background, right? So that's kind of what's going on. So now here's where my memory kicks in. I remember being on, I say second floor, but the house we lived in was like a split level. It's like the bottom was like, first floor was like a basement. So the second floor was not a second floor, but it wasn't ground level either. It's kind of a strange house now that I think about it. But so I was in the living room looking out the window, and I could see my stepbrother and his friend just sprinting down the road towards us, towards the house, with their tackle box and their fishing pole, right? And I said to my aunt, I was like, "Oh, hey, look, there's Scotty." And then she looks, in the window, and she sees them they're running. They're like track and field running down the sidewalk to come in. And it's like, what's going on? And then they come inside, they shut the door, they run up the stairs, and we see them, and they run past us into the kitchen, and that's all we see of them, right? And we're like, and then my aunt was like trying to be like, "Hey, what's going?" She couldn't even ask her what was going on. And I forgot one little thing about the background. So we had a dog, a Doberman Pinscher named Katie. And if she did not know you, you knew it. That's all I'll say. She was a sweetheart to us and the kids, but if she didn't know you, she would fuck you up. Anyway, so all of a sudden we just hear this loud BAM, right? And we're like, what the? And all of a sudden, this, like, when you picture a crackhead, I don't know what comes to your mind, but whatever I picture a crackhead, I picture this motherfucker. So this guy comes running to the top of the stairs. He's wearing like bleach white jeans that are dirty. I mean, they were white at some point in time, but they were nasty. Barefoot. He's not wearing a shirt. He's skinny. He's like dirty blonde. He's got a beard, and he's just got like afro like kind of hair, and just wide-eyed looking. You know what I mean? And he starts to kind of come towards us in the living room, but then, you know, we have the dog, which my aunt should have just let her go. But she had Katie by the collar, and she was having a hard time holding her. Like, Katie wanted a piece of that fucking crackhead. She wanted to see what crackhead tastes like. So I just remember looking at the guy and just being like, whoa, you know, and then Katie going nuts. So he changes his mind about us. I don't think he was really, I don't know, who knows? I don't know if he would have did anything. Well, maybe he might have asked, and who knows? I don't know. But we had the dog, right? So then he goes out back. And then I think, if I remember right, my aunt tells us to stay there. And then she, like, you know, with Katie by the collar, goes into the back. And I think my sister was there watching us, and she made sure that we didn't go anywhere. So we were just in the living room. And then I remember police cars pulling up, you know, because I'm watching this out our front window. And then eventually I see police officers, you know, escorting this guy in handcuffs into their police car. And then while this is going on, you know, there's all these cop cars. My mom and stepdad and someone else are like just creeping down the road, just looking, probably like in shock and horror, like what the fuck is going, you know what I mean? And seeing all these cop cars and, you know, whatever. And they just kept going. I remember being like, what the hell? And they went to like someone else's house to call and find out what was going on. So that's all I have for that's like what I remember. So basically what happened was my stepbrother was fishing with his buddy, and this guy was there too, and there were some other kids fishing, or like he was fishing, and I guess they were all kind of hanging out. The guy had like some beer that he even let my older brother, who's a teenager, drink some beer. So he's like, oh, cool, this guy's cool, right? And then like he just flipped out. He like grabbed one of the kids and threw him in the water, something, and just started like freaking out. So Scotty and his friend decided to get their shit and go. And I guess as they were leaving, the guy was following them. So the faster they went, the faster he went. So he followed them all the way to the house. He kicked the front door, which was a solid fucking wood door. You know, it's an exterior door. And I remember it actually cracked it. And, you know, went up the stairs, saw us, went in the back, chased after my stepbrother, and that's when Big Mike got a hold of him. And so this is all, you know, well, anyway, you're already kind of grasping. So I guess Big Mike gets a hold of him, bitch slaps him around a little bit. He's on top of him, and then they're holding Katie like right at his face, just just fucking wanted to fucking eat him, and he's like, you want this fucking dog? You want me to let you, have this dog? And, slapping him across the face and just, having a good time. And then the cops come, and then they get their hands on him, and then he's fighting with the cops. And as he's fighting with them, he gets slammed down. His head hits the ground. I guess he had a fucking golf ball lump on his head from fighting with the cops. And then got in the car and went to jail. That was kind of it. That's the story, basically. Like I said, he put a crack in that door. I mean, it wasn't like, we didn't have to replace the door because they kept the door, but, did crack it. I just kind of wish I would have been there to see Big Mike slapping the shit out of the guy. And then, like I said, I was watching everything from the living room. I couldn't go in the back or nothing, so I could only see, what came out front. So him fighting with the cops was on the driveway on the side of the house. But yeah, so whenever I think of a crackhead, that's what I think of, is that dude. So that's one of I have actually a few pretty crazy stories from my childhood. But nothing, family related. I don't know, my stepdad was, he laid the law down. I remember one time I was doing yard work. He had me moving wood. So I had a wheelbarrow with some wood in it. And it was probably around the same time, about the same time that this happened. Maybe I was a little younger, I don't know. And so I was moving it, and then my friend wanted to try it. So I let him try it, and then he spilt it. He tipped the wheelbarrow over. And all of a sudden, I get this fucking boot up my ass. Wham! And I'm like, what the fuck? Well, obviously, I didn't say that. Maybe I was thinking it. I wasn't even thinking of it. But I just started crying, And then later, he was like, I didn't ask your friend to move the wood. I asked you to move it, And then, of course, I'm like, well, he wanted to do it. He's like, I don't care. I asked you to do it, That's one of the things. I think that kind of lasting impression, I guess, Like, he was firm, but to me, he was actually fair, He used to really fucking be a lot, more aggressive to his son, his actual son, you know what I mean? And it's probably just because my age, I guess. Maybe the fact that I wasn't his, I don't know. But, there was partying going on and all kinds of shit, then. And I just remember another quick story. I can't believe I was able to get that story out in time. So, one time, stepdad drank a lot, was hanging out with his buddies, and he ended up he burned his shoulder. He did something, and then he came in the living room and fell asleep. And then it was it was that night. So it was earlier that night. And then my stepbrother was trying to put some Vaseline or some cream on his burn while he was sleeping, and he woke up kind of aggressively and was like, "What the hell is going on?" And he ended up kicking my stepbrother butt, and I just remember him flying down the hallway. And then I was in shock, and I was scared he was gonna turn around and just whoop my ass. And then he just looks at me and says, "Blake, go to bed." So yeah. So he wasn't really bad to me. But anyway, I do have some stories around that time period. Not so much with my stepdad. I just said the two stories that I have about him, really. I got more, but nothing that's probably really entertaining. But Anyway, let me know if you like this. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what to talk about. I'm tired of politics. Pisses me off. Stupid people voting for stupid things pisses me off. So I'm trying to just ignore it. Anyway, email me, theobjectivejerk@gmail.com, or you can message me on all the stupid ass fucking piece of shit social media sites that there are and apps. And then that's it. Yay, yay!